Hello and welcome to India Career Center, the one-stop podcast for students, professionals, parents, and guardians. In every episode, we will try to deal with a current topic that needs expert advice related to career guidance, and career mentoring. Please welcome your host, Dr. S.B. Mishra, to the show, and happy listening.
Hello and welcome to India Career Center. Today in our episode, we are going to talk about entrepreneurship and how it is so important for India. In the past episodes, we have spoken of the concept of India's demographic dividend. It means that India will remain a young nation compared to many developed countries across Europe, America, and some part of Asia as well as Australian continent. It is estimated India will have this phase of demographic dividend until 2050, 2060. So also there are data available about specific age groups. Children born between 1997 and 2011 form little over 36 crore in population, and most of whom are either in school, college, or have just started professional career. This cohort form the large part of demographic dividend for India. Technology, automation, digitization are rapidly influencing the world of work. It is estimated by many reputed consulting firms, most of the repetitive and predictable jobs will be automated, which we are already seeing some of it happening across some of the sectors. And this space will only increase further. The experts and futurists predict in future, the world of work will be based on skill and not roles anymore. Traditional jobs will significantly transform into professional contracts. So most of our young cohort who are born between 1997 and 2011, and of course, beyond that as well, will be part of this new concept of professionals with special skills or unique skills, and will be working as global professionals in their domains across the world. Now, coming to entrepreneurship as a concept, this is not new for India. Even today, 90% of our workers are working in the informal sector and producing about 50% of India's GDP. There's also another data, which is a combination of ILO's data as well as the data from Government of India. As per that, about the formal working sector has about 9.7% only, which is about 47.5 million people. So concept of entrepreneurship as such in India is not new. But what is now required is possibly to take this concept of entrepreneurship to the next level and make it scalable and with a vision of being global entrepreneurs, not just the regional or small entrepreneurship. So to discuss this, we have got our guest today, Mr. Sandeep Mehndiratta, who has got over 21 years of industry exposure, industry experience. He has worked with many professional and multinational companies, including JCB, which was his last assignment. Mid of last year, he released his first book, which is Art to Start. And a lot of his book is actually talking about entrepreneurship. The art of start is dedicated to that. And what I like about Sandeep's new initiative is that he has started conducting a lot of workshops for young children and trying to really sensitize them about this concept of entrepreneurship, which I think is amongst the 21st century new skills. I think entrepreneurship is one of the key skills which every young children have to be exposed to. Because as I see, I think by 2030 and beyond, the concept of formal work will be over actually. It will be more of skill-based contracts, and young people who are, in their schools and early college or early career of professional life will eventually have to take up professional contracts and multiple number of them at the same time. So which means that they will have to understand how to manage contracts, how to manage time, and how to understand the concept of entrepreneurship. Sandeep, welcome to our podcast, and we are so glad to have you here to talk to our viewers and listeners.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mishra. Thanks a lot for calling me here.
Yeah. So to start with, Sandeep, if you can tell our viewers and listeners about your early life and your early career and stage of your life where you have, after having spent about 21 years in the formal industry, you have decided to move on and do something on your own. I mean, in true sense, you are also the entrepreneur with a global scale in mind.
So, thank you again, Dr. Mishra. When I talk about my life, I have an overall experience of 21 years. And after engineering, I started as a R&D engineer, research and development engineer. Worked with various multinational companies like LG Electronics, Class, to name a few. After that, I got an opportunity to work with Deloitte Consulting, and where I had got developed this flavor of working with entrepreneurs or working with top designated people, right? And from there, it gave me a lot of a thrust in terms of getting into the strategies, getting what goes behind making those strategies. So that was a turning point for me, I would say. And after that, I got an opportunity to lead strategy planning with JCB, as you already shared. So it's all about moving from R&D to operations, then to strategy. So in and all, that was all about my career. And between these, I did my dual MBA with IMT Ghaziabad in operations and marketing as well. So that was all about my career if I put summarize it. And there were a lot of projects which I did, which actually made me think about entrepreneurship not as a job, but more as a passion. So it instilled in me that mindset of an entrepreneur 10 or 12 years back from now when I was with Deloitte. Yeah.
And when did you start thinking about the book, the one which you released last year?
Okay. This book I started writing 8 years back. It took me 8 years to write this book. It all started with when I did my black belt in Lean Six Sigma from American Society of Quality. And then after that, I did MBB, Master Black Belt from Indian Statistical Institute, New Delhi. And after that, I thought let's write down my thoughts in a summarized manner on Lean and Six Sigma, so that I don't forget it. It was sort of a diary I wanted to write for myself so that I could refer it back in the future. So when I started writing, I developed a flavor of writing. I loved writing when I started writing that. So it was initially from that perspective. So when I wrote it, so I thought let's get it published in the form of a book so that it could help other people as well. But at that point in time, I thought it's a pure technical book. So there are a lot of writers who have written much better than me on that topic. So what is the value that I would be adding to the audience? Nothing. So at that point in time, I started thinking, let's write something which can actually add some value to the readers, to the listeners. Then I refined the book. I started refining the book. From Six Sigma, I made it much more lighter towards lean, and it was sort of a little bit stories. Then eventually, when my passion towards entrepreneurship was building at that point in time, so my book flavor got automatically shifted towards entrepreneurship. So actually, I ended up writing a book on entrepreneurship, what goes behind the mind of an entrepreneur, how to think in a solution form so that you develop a solution for a problem and how you get that implemented. So what goes behind the brain, right? So that was the whole concept, and it moved like a story from chapter to chapter. and every chapter has its own takeaways in a summarized manner. So eventually, after 8 years, when I completed it, it was like starting with an idea and how you actually get it implemented. So all those chapters were linked in a manner like a person who doesn't know anything about entrepreneurship, what he should be thinking about, what he should be doing, very small steps, so that he is able to generate an idea and take it to the next level of execution. So that was the whole concept about it. And I would also like to tell, until last year, I would say probably 18 months back, I was able to finish that book, and I was not able to finish the last chapter. At that point in time, my father like scolded me, "Hey, it's been years and years. You have been writing something and you're not getting it published. What are you doing?" I said, "Okay, I'll get this done. There's last chapter left," and I kept on pushing it because I wasn't too confident about writing a book. I didn't had that thing in my mind. Okay, I've written it. Let's get it published, because I was scared of it, what people will say, right? And then my father left us, and that was sort of a huge setback for me. Huge, in fact, a turning point in my life. And after some time, I realized he wanted me to publish this book. So I got the last chapter finished, arranged all the chapters, did everything, then finally got it published. And it eventually got an amazing response, and it's available at Amazon. So that was the whole thing about the book.
So basically, this book is written for any specific age group in mind, or this can be read by anybody?
Okay, this is a non-fiction type of a book, moves like a story from one chapter to another, and it moves in a manner so that you are able to develop an idea and take it to the execution level. It is written in a very simple, plain English. Anyone can read this book. That person can be a student or can be a professional as well. So the objective of writing this book is to give people a platform where they can have a structured process if they want to be an entrepreneur, or they want to develop an entrepreneur mindset to perform their jobs effectively, what they should be doing. So it gives them a structured process how to do this. So it can be it can be useful for a student and for a working professional both as well. So R2Start was just a platform where I structured this process in a very sequential manner. And after I wrote this book, R2Start, I thought, let's take a call. Why not to walk the talk? So this book was sort of a pivotal point in my career, which led me to move from or transition from a working professional space to a space of entrepreneurship.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And also, you're taking it step forward in terms of really passing this knowledge back to the younger people. You've been conducting a lot of workshops, seminars. I know you're doing some webinars as well. Would you like to tell our viewers and listeners a little more about this?
So when I left my job, so it was more on I would be doing something in the skill space, right? In the solution mindset space. So entrepreneur mindset is just not for entrepreneurs. It is equally important for the working professionals as well, because nowadays organizations do not look just for professional qualifications, but for the people who are actually problem solvers. So with that thought process in mind, after I left my job, I started a company. I founded a company which is currently purely focused on trainings for corporate world. So that was one part of it. But I still had a lot of passion in myself. Like, I need to spread this knowledge of R2Start across. And I thought, who would be better than the students at that age group? Because if you see our education system, the financial prudence, the financial knowledge, or the entrepreneur mindset, these are the two aspects which I think are not given due importance until class 12th. So I thought, let's do this with the students. And I did a lot of workshop exercises with the students on entrepreneurial mindset. It was not an entrepreneurship, it was just to develop an entrepreneurial mindset. I started with that piece. And this was the time, if you could remember, that Shark Tank serial was also going on television.
Yeah.
So that resonated with everything which I was teaching, and the student was and the students were much more curious to take it forward. So what after entrepreneurial mindset, how to take it forward? I developed a complete, I have a 3 months module of entrepreneurship, which is broken down like the first module is the launch pad, where I teach on entrepreneur mindset. So entrepreneurship is nothing like, it's about exploring yourself, and your idea is actually your medium of expression. So when you explore yourself, so that's about the launch pad. Then the second module is ideation. In ideation, we take the idea to the execution level, and third is the incubator. So these are the 3 modules I run, and the timeline is 3 to 4 months, and these are purely based on like live workshops, one-to-one personal hand holdings, so based on engaging stories, fun tasks, quizzes, because students connect much better with stories, and they are able to learn faster. So the entire 3 months module is broken down into 7 sections. So if you want, I can explain that to the audience.
Yeah, why not? Please explain that.
Okay. The 7-step process of entrepreneurship, which I explained to students, was like the first section is about idea, how you generate an idea. And for generating an idea, the important part is the out of the box thinking. So how you think out of the box. So there is a way, there is a process by which we can design our mind to think out of the box. Just Dr. Mishra, to give you an example, how we use our words, our language actually instills out of the box thinking itself by itself into our minds. To give you an example, I'll use 2 words. The first word is but. I'll give you an example. Like, I love to play badminton, but my backhand stroke is weak. I love to ride a bicycle, but I'm afraid of falling down. So whenever you use a word but, it always follows a restriction.
Yeah.
Like, I want to play badminton, but my backhand stroke is weak. So that stops me. So whatever comes after but is something which stops you. That is a box. So when you replace this word but with the word and, A-N-D, and, it will give you opportunities. So we'll put and in the same example. I love to play badminton, and I need to hire a coach so that I can practice more on my backhand strokes.
Yeah.
I love to play badminton, and I need to practice that with my friends in the morning. Similarly for bicycle, like I love to ride bicycle, and I need to get the support wheels on so that I don't fall down. I love to ride bicycle, and I need to take the help of my father so that he supports me and I don't fall down. So whenever I use the word and, it gives me a plethora of opportunities. So that's where we start out of the box thinking. If we use and in place of but, automatically we will ourselves give us new opportunities to think out of the box. So this is the most simplest way how you can think out of the box. So why I'm sharing this example with you is, our stories, we don't use too complicated frameworks, but we convert those complicated frameworks into easy to understand stories for our students.
Right.
And this is the reason why students get excited, get connected with us. So that's the whole concept. So whenever you use the word but, it will give you a box, and you use the word and, it will give you a plethora of opportunities, right? So that's about it. So the first thing is out of the box thinking, as I was sharing with you, and we have got 7 secrets how you can think out of the box. And the first one is the power of words, which I shared with you. So similarly, there are 6 other things. So we'll not go into that detail, otherwise this will go on for 3 hours.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I understand.
Yeah. So the first step is how you can think out of the box, which is like, after this, out of the box thinking, you would be able to understand how you can generate a solution to a problem, right? And the second is the inner calling. It is like players versus spectators. I need to be player of my life rather than a spectator.
Yes.
I need to design how I need to run my life. What is my inner calling? So I need to identify that. A lot of people in the middle of the career think, yeah, I'm doing this, but I wanted to be this. So you don't want to get into that situation at the mid path of your career. So that's the whole concept of the inner calling. And we use Ikigai for this. It is a Japanese tool by which you can actually get what exactly you want to work on. So if you could remember a quote by Mark Twain, he said, there are two important days in your life.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
day when you were born and the day you find out why. Why?
Yeah.
That why part, Ikigai answers this why part. That's the inner calling. So in our first session of ideation, we cover these aspects: out of the box thinking, inner calling, Ikigai. So that's the first module, whereby we redesign our brain to think out of the box and start thinking ideas and solutions. Then the second session is, or the second module is conviction. How you can develop conviction on your idea. Idea is the most important thing in the entire entrepreneur journey. But one thing which is much more important than idea is the conviction behind an idea. You may be having $1 million idea or $1 billion idea, but if you are not convinced, you can't take it to any level.
Yeah.
So how you develop conviction, how you test your idea, how you find a problem solution fit. So that's the second phase, where we say like, test fast, fail fast, and adjust fast. In case you have an idea, you need to test it fast. And don't be afraid of failures. If you're failing, fail fast and adjust your solution fast, right? So that you save on the time. So that's the whole concept. And when you test it, test your idea, don't test it with your family and friends, because you're bound to get biased opinions. Always test your idea with the actual audience. That is why it is said warriors are tested on the battleground, not in the lab. So we need to test our ideas with the actual customers. So that will give you very strong conviction. So that's the second module, conviction. Then the third module, which we work on with the students, is value proposition. So what is the value you are giving to your customer? Is it a functional value, social, or an emotional value? Is it just a product which anyone wants to have and it just satisfies the basic need, or something a social which increases the social stature, or an emotional? So it's a complete module which is totally based on stories, and students go through this, and after this they are able to position their ideas in a way which makes them much more appealing to their customers, so giving more value to their customers. So this is the third module. Then the fourth is differentiation, how you can be different from your competitors. So value proposition was with respect to customers, differentiation is with respect to a more internal is value, external is differentiation.
Yeah.
So that's the fourth module. After that, we teach business modeling, how you run and make profit out of a business. Then about the team, do you need a co-founder? Do you need to hire someone? Do you need to freelance it? That entirely depends upon the control you want to have and expertise you have. Then the final is the funding part of it, the pitch deck, how you reach out to investors. So these are the 7 modules, very exclusive modules, different modules, and you learn from like having an idea in place and going to the level of execution. So it's entirely a solution mindset game. It starts with a solution mindset, ideation, and taking it to the execution and up till the funding stage as well. So these are the seven stages. Yeah.
Fantastic. Sandeep, while the young people will be obviously very receptive, as you rightly said, the curiosity is much higher. The starting point is to get their parents to know about these concepts. I think most of them are part of the formal working life. And for they are like hardwired. Okay, so our kid has to do so and so education, and then get into the top digital company or the tech company, and make a life out of it. Those concepts are going to be rapidly changing, and I think the first and foremost segment of customers for you is probably the parents. I think they have to be sensitized about how things are changing. You rightly said, if you have to fail fast, so that you can take up something which is the next best idea to take up. So what do you think? I mean, how are you planning to address this gap? The challenge could be the ones which are the parents or similar age category people.
See, Dr. Mishra, the thing is all about awareness. So the parents are themselves, they have gone through this pain of COVID, where we all have been working from home. And as you rightly said in the starting, future is not about the secure jobs. It's more about the projects, the freelancing things, the projects. So you would be hired not on the basis of your just professional qualification, but the skill which you bring onto the table as a problem solver. So I'm conducting a lot of workshops with the parents as well. I'm giving a lot of videos to them, sending a lot of information to them. They have been studies, research studies like one by Dell, which was published in LinkedIn as well, which said 85% of the jobs that will exist in 2030 have not been invented yet.
Yeah.
That means if I, for example, want to be X professional, by the time I become that professional, that thing may not be relevant in the times to come, right? So that is an awareness which is very important for the parents to understand. So that is the point which I share with them. So entrepreneurial mindset, I'm not making them entrepreneurs. What I'm giving them is entrepreneurial mindset, which can be utilized if they want to be an entrepreneur, if the kid wants to be a working professional, right? So that is the whole concept. And once this skill is there, and they need to understand that this is an essential skill. This is not something which is like, if they had done this program, then they would be entrepreneurs. No, this is an essential skill. Just like communication is an essential skill to have, this would be an essential, this is an essential skill and will be a very crucial skill in the times to come in the future, based on which a lot of hirings would be done and a lot of projects and freelancing work which they can win, Then my second point is, I also use a lot of examples with the parents. Like, I have a couple of my students, you won't believe, one of them is in class 8. Her name is Khushi. She is so much into cellular structure. She loves reading biology. She loves
Okay.
this subject. And she told me, like, she wants to develop something which can stop the problem of hair fall.
Okay.
And she did a lot of research into it. She studied cellular structure, and she had also promised herself, like, whatever product she develops will be totally Ayurvedic, will be totally herbal or natural or Ayurvedic, not having any chemicals. And she has actually developed a prototype of that product. She is in just class 8.
Fantastic.
So see the level of entrepreneur mindset. And this gives me a lot of confidence and a lot of hope for our younger generation.
Absolutely.
Because they are able to see a problem, and they are able to find a relevant solution within themselves, within the things that is available to them. Can you imagine what would be the resources available to a class 8 girl, and she is able to develop that thing with the things, resources she already has available in a local market. And now she is talking about how she would position it, who would be her customers, what would the price point. So I'm teaching her all on that. Similarly, a second student, she's developing, she was a bit confused when she joined, because she loved arts, and she loved dancing, painting, singing. So finally her inner calling, we did a workshop on inner calling, the ikigai, and she was able to finalize on developing acrylic paintings.
Okay.
And adding some value to it, there were certain things attached to acrylic painting which I cannot disclose now,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
she is already developing a prototype of it. So she is into that stage, and she sent me some pictures. Those were amazing. That's a entirely new field that has opened up.
Absolutely.
And her customers, and I asked her, what is your objective? Why are you creating such paintings? What is your inner calling? She said, after looking at my painting, people should feel happy. Very simple.
So
She
she's
said,
trying to basically address the
emotion,
emotional requirement.
exactly. And she said, well, Manika, what would be your ideal audience? She said, if my painting is at the office, it should spread positivity all around, happiness all around. There should be no stress. And similarly, it can be placed in the homes. So her concept is very clear. Her objective is
Fantastic.
clear, that her painting should spread happiness and positivity all around. So these are my two students. Like, those have actually developed their prototypes. My other students are in the process of developing. So these are budding entrepreneurs. And there are other students who are like, who are not developing anything, but they are excelling a lot in their studies, because entrepreneurial mindset helps you to focus and concentrate on your inner calling.
Yeah.
It improves your focus and concentration, and hence your academic performance as an output increases. But that is not our objective, but actually it increases. So these are few examples, and I have 4 more examples pertaining to technology.
Okay.
So I share these examples with the parents, and it is not about pushing someone towards entrepreneurship. It is about entrepreneur mindset, the mindset which helps them take a call. So these are the 2 aspects I wanted to share when I connect with the parents, sharing the awareness part of it through what it will actually lead to, sharing with examples and sharing the research reports. Yeah.
Okay. And have you been been able to connect with some of the schools with your concept? How's the progress on that?
Yeah, I have started this 3.5, 4 months back with the students. So during that period of time, I connected with the schools. There are a couple of schools we are very closely working, and probably in this summer they are conducting summer camps with us. So just to try this with the students, a small module, the first module during the summer camp. Yes, but those schools are local in and around Delhi NCR only. But
Yeah.
our students are it's an online live classes which I conduct. So it's all across India as of now.
Okay. And how do you intend to scale this concept, Sandeep?
Scale this, when we talk about scaling this concept, I had already done 4 batches of it, and I've got good results out of it. So the problem solution fit is proven. So now the next level is how I can take it to the scale, how I can make it a product market fit. So digital marketing is the way to go forward for that. One way is obviously through connecting through schools, as you rightly said, because that would give that would help in a lot of brand building. And the second aspect is that going digital through using social media platforms and sharing the relevant examples with the parents. The focus over here is to develop entrepreneurial mindset. And once that concept is clear, the scaling becomes much more easier. So the objective and the channel is the social media. So, and the third part is the advertisement part of it, how you actually connect with the audience. So if all these 3 things are aligned, we can easily scale it, and we have actually started scaling it, and we are doing it across India now since last month. That's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, I think initially you talked about walking the talk. I think you're really doing that. And Sandeep, so what next in terms of writing? You said you love writing. Do you also love reading? Obviously, there could be also some part of your day which you might be keeping for reading. So would you like to share some of your liking about what kind of books you read? What your recommendation for our listeners and viewers?
What the books I like, there are two books which I like. I'll share that with you. This is the first book, Ikigai.
Mm-hmm.
And the second book which I read was Our Iceberg is Melting.
Mm-hmm.
So these are two books I loved a lot. After these two books, I started writing on my own. I do not take more than 2 days. I don't spend more than 2 days a book. And by the way, also I like the book Who Moved My Cheese.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
good classic book. Yeah.
But yes, after this book, after I wrote Art to Start, I had written one ebook.
Mm-hmm.
So it is about 7 steps to entrepreneurship,
Okay.
which I share with my students. So that's an ebook. That's a small ebook.
Okay. It is roughly on this similar template of your book itself, or it's slightly different as
It
a
is
concept?
on these 7 stages. So it is based on those specific, starting from out of the box thinking, ideation, and taking it to the execution stage. So it is
Okay.
more focused towards entrepreneurial mindset.
So I think we broadly covered about the topics we wanted to talk. Obviously, Sandeep, entrepreneurial mindset is something which is important not just for young children, but also for all the professionals who are currently working, because at some point of time, the traditional jobs will have their end life, actually. So of course, I'm not saying that all the jobs will be over, but obviously the major part of repetitive, predictive jobs will get over and will taken over by the automation and things like that. I think we are seeing a large part of it happening already. For example, in banking sector, for example, a large part of it happening in the retail sector. It is important for everyone. And I was just glancing through your book, and I found one area very interesting where you talk about what is the value as a person you are able to give back to as part of your solution. I think that's the essence of this concept,
Right,
isn't
right.
it? So what you love to do or what you're good at, and what is the value
World
the
needs
world
and willing to pay
needs.
for. Yeah.
I think conceptually, if somebody is able to understand this at any stage, I don't, irrespective of the age, somebody is able to combine these two of what you love to do and what you are good at, along with what the world needs with respect to the value proposition. If one is able to combine these two concepts, then one can arrive at a entrepreneurial journey at any point of time, irrespective of the age. I think.
Right, right. Just to give an example, Dr. Mishra, if you have raised this topic, uh, in the book, I had shared the example of Steve Jobs. That's
Mm-hmm.
my sort of a tribute to him. So I studied him. So I tried to recreate his ikigai.
Mm-hmm.
What would be his inner calling? Like, what did he love? So he was a lover of art. So there were a lot of Japanese teacups, flower vases in his house, all artifacts, beautiful artifacts. So he was a pure lover of fine craftsmanship. And so he loved fine craftsmanship. So I can say that. So what he was good at, he was good in technology. He is seen as a pioneer. He is seen as a titan of technology. And what the world needed in terms of his organization, what the world needed, was willing to pay for. So when you club these 4 things together, when he created Apple, it was a result of fine craftsmanship, what he loved. It was a result of technology, right? So all these 4 components of Ikigai, the inner calling, was actually in the Apple. His product was his medium of expressing himself. So you can very closely correlate Ikigai. Yeah,
I think all the Apple products, I think starting from their desktop
exactly.
to then to
So you can
the,
see iMac, iPad, yeah, everything.
yeah, yeah,
They are
I
all
think.
like a fine craftsmanship, sort of.
Yeah, the obviously
His
all their
stamp
products
is
were
there.
always ahead of time with respect to the design concept, technology. They were always ahead of the time, and they predicted or forecasted requirement of the customer. I think that is what a great organization is all about. That is what is a great entrepreneurship is all about, to be able to forecast something which is not there. In a way, I think as an entrepreneur, you are kind of somebody who is kind of a dreamer, who is thinking about some abstract concept at this point of time, which is going to be reality in few years time when your product is out. I think well, that's also a risk when you run into sometimes these abstract concepts might not be realistic products or services for future. But at least I think you have that gift in you, or the ability in you to really think about things which ordinary people cannot really think of. So I think, of course, training like the art to start, one can bring that template in terms of at least thinking, and that could be useful template which you may not bring out something which is absolutely abstract, but I think you can bring in a lot of product improvement, process improvements, and so on and so forth, which is also equally important in your professional life as you go along. I think
So when you say about abstract idea, so abstract thinking, so people working on it may or may not be successful going forward in the future. So that's a risk the people are carrying, and as an entrepreneur. So just to have a quick mitigation of that risk, what you can do. So whatever idea we are working on has to solve a problem.
yeah,
That has to be the baseline. It shouldn't be like I'm creating something just out of my passion. It's okay for the people to have. So that won't sell in the market. वो नहीं बिकेगा, that won't sell. It has to solve a problem. That's the underlying statement.
absolutely.
Second part, the customer. You need to have the demography, psychography, and the behavioral aspect of your customer, whom I would be selling to, right? So what is the pain of the customer that I am eliminating, or what is the gain, what is the fulfillment I'm giving back to the customer? So that has to be very clear. Third aspect is, what is the objective that customer is trying to achieve out of this? So these aspects are very clear. So once you are clear on these stages at the ideation stage itself, then it becomes very easy for you to forecast your product, your idea into the future. So that's how we do it. We create something and then we forecast that into the future and create a vision. And vision is something like, in the future, what would customer feel if they have that product? It's like moving your product into the future, and it's always a forward looking statement. Vision is always a forward looking statement with the customer at the center. So these are some of the exercises which we do to mitigate that risk of, like, you have a product, you have an abstract thinking, and when you move into the future, that may or may not be relevant. So how you can mitigate that? So that's all part of our modules.
Yeah,
You raised a very, very relevant point.
yeah, I think also just to give a template to our young children who are listening, or their parents. Today the world is about 7.5 billion people on this earth. Okay, and by 2030 it is expected to become like 8.5 billion. By 2050 maybe 9 billion people on this earth.
Absolutely.
So if you have 9 billion people on this earth, what you need to have food, you need to have clothes, you need to have house, infrastructure, you need to take care of health, because about 1.4 billion people will become 60 plus years by the end of 2030. So you need infrastructure, you need
And the
entertainment, you
best
need
thing, and the
communication,
most important
transportation.
thing you
Yeah,
need is a livable climate.
yeah, of course. That is the underlining factor
Yeah.
that uh,
Couple of my
we-
students are working on this to
yes, environmental
TDS
is
thing. Yeah.
environment. The temperature rise has to be kept at a level of 1.5 degree max across the world. Otherwise, this world will become unlivable actually because of the temperature rise. So these are the areas where people of this earth will need some kind of solution.
Exactly.
And if our young children who are listening to this, or our parents who are listening to this, can guide their children in this direction, or even the school, if anybody from the school fraternity or the college education fraternities are watching this, they must actually encourage young people to think in this direction as to
Exactly.
how to take care of these problems of the world. If we are able to give a solution to these problems of the world, I think we will have a sustainable career, at the same time a very fulfilling life, which is very important. You can be engaged for next 30-40 years in your professional career in a very fulfilling manner, where you're trying to actually solve the problem of earth. I think that is what is
Exactly.
required. Yeah.
And the
So,
points you mention are very relevant
yeah,
now and in the future as well, like climate change. So it
fantastic.
gives you enormous hope, like they are solving real life problems.
Sandeep, I think your engagement with the students, and you ignite this concept of entrepreneurial mindset for the young children across India as well as the world. And in any way, if India Career Center can support in that initiative, we'd love to do that. And whole concept of India Career Center is actually to reach out to young children and aspiring young people to explore various career opportunities, and do something which is which they love to do, and make the difference for their life and for this world.
Right.
So Sandeep, it was fantastic talking to you. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
very much.
investing.
Forward to the support of India Career Center and the parents to understand the importance of this essential skill in the coming future. Thank you very much for calling me for this talk. Thanks, Dr. Mishra. Thanks a
Thank you,
lot.
Sandeep. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. We sincerely wish you could take something from our conversation today and be able to apply it to your life in a positive way. We value your feedback. This can help us improve our future episodes. So share your thoughts to serve you better. If you want us to focus on a topic which you think is of importance, let us know. We will share our expertise in future episodes. So, see you soon with a new topic and help you in your career journey.